my friends, we are currently editing my second book, Dying with Regret. So let's just pick up from where we last left off and jump straight in. So this is going to be an amazing one, this chapter here that I'm editing now. And this is the one that literally blew my mind away and completely transformed my life. And this chapter we're going to be talking about the time when I took DMT. If you know what it is, you're going to want to stay. If you don't know what it is, you're going to want to stay, whatever. So let's just get straight into this one. So this chapter is called Timing is Everything. So after falling in love with Venezuela and all of the people I met, I really saw myself settling down there for a very long time. And despite feeling more Venezuelan than I felt British, I didn't have a passport or citizenship, so I had to leave the country for a little while. I headed back down to Colombia, but things weren't the same as before. Not even gone a couple of days, I was missing Venezuela so much, but something was telling me that I needed to be there in Colombia in this present moment of my life. I didn't know what it was, but I was making sure to stay alert and open. For a long time prior, I also had been telling myself that I would visit Cuba, but again, had all of those naysayers trying to push their worries onto me so that I didn't go. Although I listened to what people said, I couldn't let it stop me from booking the flights, and I reminded myself of what happened with my Venezuelan trip. The days before leaving for Cuba, I saw a WhatsApp story pop up from a friend who I had only just started speaking to again. This was my Colombian friend who I had met on my very first ayahuasca retreat. The picture on her story was of a toad, and I instantly knew what it meant. It was the Bufo. I sent her a message saying necesito, and she told me how she had just had it that same day and how incredible her experience was. She also suggests that we should go and try this out together. For me, this was the divine timing of the universe calling me to embark on the greatest of all inward journeys, and I instantly told her, let's go. Since my second ayahuasca retreat, I felt as if there was still something else, and I started researching other modalities of discovering much more about who I really am and why I'm really here, which led me on to researching about the toad medicine, which is the Bufo DMT that I'm speaking about now. And just like my ayahuasca experiences, I hadn't been actively searching for where I could go and do this, but was waiting for it to reveal itself to me, and now it was that time. So you're probably thinking, what am I talking about? And what the heck is this Bufo toad? Well, let me explain. Bufo is a species of toad commonly known as the Colorado River toad and is native to the southwestern United States, Arizona, New Mexico, California, and northern Mexico itself. This toad is famous for secreting a potent psychoactive substance called 5-MeO-DMT from its glands on its back, and when vaporized and inhaled, the 5-MeO-DMT induces an intense but short-lived psychedelic experience, often described as a mystical or ego-dissolving state. You may have heard of this specific toad due to Mike Tyson's widely publicized experience with Bufo. Many people joke that Tyson licked the toad to achieve his life-changing transformation, but this is far from the truth. In reality, licking the toad is highly toxic and dangerous because of its glands on the back of the Bufo. It can cause serious poisoning if ingested, and the correct method involves carefully extracting and drying and vaporizing the poison that is on the back from the 5-MeO-DMT that I'm speaking about. Okay, so for decades, Tyson was known as the baddest man on the planet. A fighter feared for his raw aggression, knockout power, and unpredictable nature. But after his encounter with the toad, he underwent a radical transformation. He described his experience as a death and rebirth, where his ego completely dissolved, leaving behind a newfound sense of clarity, love, and humility. The trip stripped away years of anger and self-destruction, replacing them with gratitude, peace, and a deep appreciation for life. Being the most potent psychedelic on the planet, it is often called the God molecule because of its intense transcendent effects. Many people describe completely losing their sense of self, often experiencing a state of pure consciousness and unity with everything. This can feel like becoming one with the universe or merging with an infinite present. Something often interpreted as encountering God or the divine. People commonly describe a deep sense of unconditional love, profound understanding, or seeing the truth of existence. The experience is often compared to mystical states described in various spiritual traditions, from Buddhism and Hinduism to Christian and indigenous religious experiences. Some compare it to a near-death experience where they lose their identity, enter a void, and then return with a new perspective on life. Some describe encountering an overwhelming force of love, light, or intelligence that feels like the source of all creation. This can bring a sense of rebirth, peace, and clarity, often leading to long-lasting personal transformation. I felt completely ready for this, to dive headfirst into the unknown and to see what things would look like on the other side. So I left things with my friend to organise, and off I went to Cuba for a couple of weeks. After returning to Medellin, Colombia, it was now time to prepare myself for what was about to come. Again, I was slightly scared, extremely excited, and very happy all at the same time. Not only was I going to try the Bufo, but was also going to first experience the Cambo from a different type of frog. So I've got a little scar here in a diamond shape. You might just be able to see it just. But yeah, this is the Cambo medicine. Cambo is a toxic secretion produced by the giant monkey frog, which is native to the Amazon rainforest. Indigenous tribes in Brazil, Peru, and Colombia have used this secretion for centuries in healing and purification rituals. Unlike the Bufo toad, which contains the 5-MeO-DMT, Cambo is not psychedelic, but it does produce intense physical effects. Cambo is applied to the body, typically through small burns in the skin, which is this, and they're called gates, and it rapidly enters the lymphatic system. It triggers an intense purging reaction, which usually includes nausea and vomiting, diarrhea and sweating, increased heart rate and body temperature, and temporary swelling and dizziness. And yes, it did do all of that and more. Indigenous people have been practicing with Cambo for thousands of years and believe it has detoxifying, immune boosting and healing properties. Some people seek it out for relief from chronic pain, depression, addiction and autoimmune disorders. I took a taxi to a local flower market to meet my friend. And whilst I was waiting there, I decided to get myself a fresh coconut to drink, as I had read online that it is super important to top up and replenish your electrolytes before, during and after the Cambo ceremony. In all honesty, there were so many different articles online, I felt a little bit overwhelmed. It was similar to the research I was doing before I embarked on my first ever ayahuasca retreat. I had prepared my body over the previous days, but wasn't completely sure of how much water I shouldn't be consuming before the Cambo session. As I was slurping up the last parts of my coconut water, I turned my head to see my friend getting off the bus, shaking her head and mouthing, "No, you can't drink that." And now I was petrified that I had just completely ruined the preparation stage of that morning. However, after we took the bus and taxi to arrive in the hills of Medellin, and at the location, I was greeted by the shaman, and who instantly told me not to worry about the coconut, as I frantically texted him to ask whilst I was on the way. He invited us into the beautiful little cosy wooden log cabin where we both sat down and met his partner. They both began to explain everything about the ceremonies and also answered any questions or concerns we had. I was sat there shivering and shaking, not because I was cold, but because I was clearly worrying about something. I didn't know what it was, and I tried to use a technique called anxiety reappraisal to calm my nervous system, but that wasn't working for me in this moment. I kept getting up and using the bathroom, but before long the guys told me that it's time to begin. One of the shamans come over with a short round stick and burned the end of it, and then proceeded to apply it to the skin on my forearm to expose the first few layers of skin. This was so that he could then apply the cambo to these open gates in my arm so that the medicine could enter and instantly make its way around my body's lymphatic system and into my bloodstream. As soon as he applied the poison to the 6 holes in my arm, it instantly swelled up and was on fire. After just another minute or so, my hands and legs were completely numb and my jaw went stiff. My face and ears felt like they were expanding like a balloon and about to burst. I could feel the medicine working inside of my body and something in my stomach was bubbling up. I knew I was ready to purge. I looked down into the empty bucket. As I looked down into the empty bucket, this green lemonade-like liquid kept pouring out of my mouth, and the guys were instructing me to keep drinking the water by my side. After about 10 minutes, one of the guys came over and put a clear liquid on all of the poison points and then mashed them into the open wounds even more. In this moment, I felt fine, and I was completely calm as the guys were asking how I felt. But after just a couple more minutes, that litre of water decided to come back up and out whilst bringing another one of its mates with it. I was violently puking so much liquid into the bucket, then tried my hardest to drink much more to replace what had just come out. Now I was laying there trying to relax as much as I possibly could, and after another 10 minutes, one of the guys came over and removed the poison paste, and I instantly started to feel better. They told me now to relax, use the bathroom, and prepare myself for the next stage of the journey, which was the Bufo. As my friend went to the bathroom, I was invited over to sit down cross-legged and read a beautiful passage about the journey we were about to embark on. As I was reading it aloud, I felt so happy and fulfilled from within. He taught me through the Bufo procedure, and he was preparing the burner. He was explaining the whole breathing process, and as he was, I felt the urge to close my eyes. As I was breathing slowly and deeply with my eyes closed, I heard him telling me, "One more time," whilst breathing out. I felt as if I had released all of the breath, but kept hearing the guy say, "More, more, more." My lungs felt like raisins in this moment, but I had done what I had to do, and forced every last little breath I had left inside of me up and out. Then I felt the plastic tip of the vape touch my lips, and he said, "Breathe in long and slowly," as he was burning the Bufo secretion within the glass bottle attached to the device. The thick smoke filled my mouth as the guys told me to suck just a little bit more, and before a matter of seconds, I felt the force as the journey began. The vape was removed from my mouth and my body began to fall back. But as it did, I heard a clicking noise and the sound of an eagle flying over, whilst reality, as I knew it, pixelized and dissolved just as everything turned white. Next, I saw my own mouth open up so wide that it swallowed my body, and as it did, a rainbow-coloured water fountain flowed up and out of up and out from inside of me and exploded with everything you could ever imagine and more. Things then went very crazy. The only way I could explain this is that everything happened all at once and all at the same time. Shapes, colours, things and more. It was all coming, moving, changing, expanding and evolving at such a rapid rate that I couldn't comprehend or keep up with any of it. As I lay there, arms by my side, they also started to dissolve and my body disappeared as I started to cease to exist. I felt like there was a transition in this very moment as I could feel my head, neck and throat, but nothing else. Suddenly I felt as if my throat began to get tight and found it very difficult to breathe. As everything was coming towards me at once, I suddenly stopped breathing completely. There was no longer a me or an I to realise that I no longer existed, because there was nothing more to think about, nothing to worry about, nothing to remember, nowhere to go and nobody to see. It was a complete ego death. There was no me anymore. There wasn't a me to experience the experience. There was just an experience. It was just what it was. It was now all an experience which could only be compared to being inside the most craziest kaleidoscope you could ever imagine, but more. Because in this place there is nothing to imagine. There is no you to try and imagine it. There was no time, no space, no place. It was just it. I was just it. And it was exactly what it was. It was a forever, constantly, rapidly changing and evolving experience. After what seemed to be forever, I started to feel my body again. It was what I call the rebirth stage, where my eyes began to rapidly twitch and flicker as I went through the transition period between this parallel dimension which I was in to coming back to Earth as I know it. As I came back to reality, I remember my mouth was opening up similarly, how do I say this? Similarly to how I saw it open during the trip. It was literally, my mouth was going like this, like, open up, it was crazy. Then I sat there completely amazed and confused of what had just happened to me. I literally kept repeating the words, what the fuck? I then stood up and hugged the guys, and as I did, I burst out in tears of pure happiness. I was so happy and filled with an energy of so much love and joy. And one of the guys came over to me and said, you have all of the answers inside of you already. In that moment, I knew it, I believed it, I trusted it, and I had experienced it, which gave me a deep sense of knowing. After making it back to my apartment, I felt the need to brain dump and get everything out of my mind and onto paper. So I started to let the pen do the work, and many profound deep messages flowed through me, through the pen and onto the paper. Now I'm going to share some of these deep messages with you guys that I got downloaded, that I learned from this experience. So there's a few messages here, so stick with me. Really life-changing. So yeah, just listen out to these and watch it back as well if you need to go over them. So, number 1, here we go. Everything you could ever imagine and more already exists within you, and any limitation is simply an illusion. Your fear is not your enemy, but your fear is in fact your guide. So face it, embrace it, and then follow your fear as it is leading you towards a fruitful future. You are continuously creating your unique story in this very present moment, so don't ever fear the unknown, as where you currently are on this part of your unique path is unknown, as you have never been here before and will never be here again, because the here and now is the only ever moment that you will ever experience. All there ever was, is and will be is pure potential, because before anything that ever existed, all there ever was potential, a possibility, an opportunity, the unknown, the absolute purity of infinite potential, way beyond any belief that perception could think of, make up or imagine. In nothing, I need to put a comma there. Right, sorry, just bear with me. In nothing exists everything. A place, a space, a realm of opportunity, and a pool of possibility to discover, design, and create literally anything. Nothing exists without an observer to witness its existence. Life is a mystery that cannot be solved or discovered, but only experienced and created. So realize that you aren't part of the mystery, but you are the mystery itself. You are the creator, maker, and mastermind behind everything you'll ever experience. You are everything, and everything is you. Because as long as you exist, then nothing else can be. So your unique existence isn't a puzzle to solve, but an opportunity to explore. Because you are all, and all is you. The void of opportunity craves you to create things way beyond your wildest dreams and bring the biggest and best version of you into existence. Life is absolutely meaningless. Nothing in life has built-in meaning. However, you are designed to give life meaning, and depending on the meaning you assert to something will determine the effect you get from it, and ultimately its outcome. So when you decide to attach a positive meaning to everything that comes your way is when you will experience a truly positive life, no matter the circumstances or situations. There we go, my friends. So that is the first part of that whole crazy journey. I'm going to speak a little bit about more of some of the lessons in the next chapter. So thank you so much for joining me on this one. I hope you learned something. Drop in a comment what you learned if you did enjoy this one. If you want to get on the wait list for this new book that will be coming out later this year, then drop me a DM with book or how do I get involved or anything. Just send me a DM. I'll sort you out with this. If you want to get on the wait list yourself, head over to dyingwithregrets.ryannurse.com. Yeah, or just drop a DM here. Send me a DM, drop a comment, and I'll hook you up. Thank you so much, my friends. Goodbye. Speak soon. Bye-bye.